right. What is up, everybody? How we doing? Welcome to another Thursday Night Football betting stream, joined by my dear friend Dan Koob, aka Dagger Dan, aka Dan the Man, maybe Sackmaster. I don't know if we're going to get Sackmaster Dan tonight. We will have to see. Dan, how are you?
That's great. An A+ tease. We'll see if the Sackmaster shows up tonight. I'm well. I'm well. It's Thursday night, which means there's football on television, so I'm in a good mood. Have you been sucked into the Sixers yet? I'm holding out. I'm holding out.
I've been sucked right in. I have been, Glock 9000 sucked into the Sixers.
I'm holding out. I don't want to do it. I did bet Kelly Oubre to win 6th man of the year plus 4,000. And then
that's pretty good.
Immediately he's inserted into the starting lineup. So not great.
I don't think he's gonna start all year. Do you know what the rules are for like
how he has to play? He has to, I don't know how many games, but he has to play a certain amount coming off the bench. And right now he starts. So
yeah, well, I know you have to play 65 games to be eligible. I just don't know what the diff, like how many games can you start before you're not eligible? That's what I don't know.
Well, from where I'm sitting right now, looking at box scores because I refuse to watch them yet. He's playing too many minutes and he's starting too many games, so not great. But yeah, I got it at a great number, so at least I'm happy with it. It's already down to like plus, I think 2,000. So, I'm not a big CLV winner guy. It's kind of like that's a moral victory in football terms. I'm not into moral victories. I'm into actual victories.
Yeah,
but it's not looking that great.
Yeah, well, I just to stick to NBA, my prediction was Maxey was going to win Most Improved Player. He's currently the betting favorite. It was like 230 or 240 going into last night's games. I have not checked yet today, but I'm going to take a victory lap in November of the NBA season, which is always good. Nothing ever changes after November of the NBA season.
There's basically nothing more to play for except for the in-season tournament, of course.
Yeah, that is people care a lot about that. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow, I think every Friday in November is an in-season tournament game.
That's news to me.
Yeah, it's very exciting stuff. Jeff, what's up? How we doing? Yeah, so for today, we got an amazing football game, 3 and a 3.5 point spread. We're expecting it to be super close. It's going to be exciting. Bears, Panthers. We're going to preview this game. Then we're going to talk about when is the best time to bet. And then what we're going to do is our new segment, which we will save for the end of every Thursday stream. And if we get a sponsor, maybe it'll turn into something more. I forget where I put it in my notes. What's the name of this segment, Dan?
So I think I called it Trying Our Best.
Yes, that's what it is. I don't know where I put that in my notes. Yeah. Trying Our Best. I will let you, it was kind of your idea. So I will let you give the people an idea what the segment is.
Sure. I mean, basically, we had a really fun conversation last week with a couple of the folks who were watching. They were asking some questions and just sort of dovetailed into us talking about mistakes we had made in our 20s. I'm a little older than you are, Matt. Maybe a little more seasoned, a little more salt and pepper in this hair and this beard. But, all that white and gray is experience. So we're just kind of chit-chatting people in the chat about things that we had done, things that we had seen. And we really enjoyed it. And I think people in the chat really enjoyed it too. So, and I think, Matt, your audience perhaps skews a little younger. So happy to chit chat and answer any questions and just kind of wrap around any even scenarios, situations. We've lived lives prior to you joining our stream. So that's sort of the iteration of it. And I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah. So any questions you have, it's not quite Ryan Russillo life advice, but it is similar to Ryan Russillo life advice. So any questions you have for a bunch of washed up 30-year-olds that you might want our advice for, please, by all means. Jeff has a question real quick, not segment related.
Yeah.
Player prop. I will say we'll get into I don't have a play on him rushing, yes or no. We'll get into player props later. Dan, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Tyson Bagent, 20+ rushing yards.
He's mobile.
He can scoot. Yeah, he can
scoot.
My
only concern with that is he's just an absolute turnover freak. Let's see. He's rushed for 4 yards, 24 yards, -1 yards, and 70 yards.
70. Wow. That's a hell of a lot.
Now, the thing that's interesting about the splits for him, and this probably isn't surprising because obviously there's a correlation between them, is in games in which they aren't getting their asses blown out, he's running a lot more. And in games where they're not, he's not. So, I mean, do you think the Panthers are going to blow them out tonight? I don't.
I don't think the Panthers are
there's your
capable
answer.
of blowing out a college team at this point.
Yeah.
Here we go. Nice question from Unabated. Any dating advice, Daniel?
We'll get to that, Tom. Just wait your turn.
Tom, it's unabated. What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry. Unabated. We'll get to it.
All right. So let's talk about this game. My first question is, do you think this game is going to set back football by 20 years or closer to 30 years?
Well, hopefully I'm not frozen on the stream. Am I back? Looks like I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. You're good.
Okay, great. What's interesting about this game is it's going to set back us a week to when we're 4 days. Right? When did the Jets play? Sunday night? It'll set us back 4 full days. That's how far this game will set everybody back. One of the cool storylines about this game actually is that both teams are heavily incentivized to win. Now that sounds ridiculous, right? It's the National Football League. However, both of these teams are bad. One is 1-7, one is 2-7. The key thing here is Carolina traded their first round pick to the Bears to draft Bryce Young rather.
Yeah.
So the Bears have all the incentive in the world to beat the Panthers to improve their first round pick from Carolina this year. But the Panthers have all the incentive in the world to not, because they don't have their first round pick. So I actually think this is sort of like we saw it a couple weeks ago with Carolina and Houston, like a complete kitchen sink game for them. And it's the same thing for the Bears. Like the Bears don't want to lose. And obviously they're at home, which means nothing at Soldier Field in the last several years. But they also need to make sure they take care of their business. So it's a game where I think both staffs kind of have to come out and be somewhat aggressive, I think. So I think that leads to a couple different things in play.
Yeah, the issue is that both teams trying to win doesn't mean that they're going to play well. I think is a flaw. Is that one possible issue is that they just stink.
Well, I didn't say they're going to play well. I said
that's fair. That's true.
Not be aggressive.
That's true. You didn't say. You did not. That's fair.
Yeah.
To them, that actually makes me more nervous. And if you're a fan of any of these teams, them playing aggressive would actually scare me more if you want them to actually win. I don't know. I'm on the Bears on this one. I think technically the best price on the Bears is 3.5 at Sporttrade. I guess the odds have shifted a little bit. If you want to get them safer, you can get them at -3 and pay the juice. I would rather just take the plus money for 3.5.
It just scares me. It just scares me so much.
Yeah, that half point is a big half point.
But I mean, you look at the makeup of the game, right? Both teams are really banged up. And you know, Bajent at least has a couple starts under his belt now. They've got an offensive lineman out. Brian Burns is out. CJ Henderson is out for Carolina. That's their top 2 defenders. Sam Franklin is hurt. He's their other best linebacker. Von Bell, their safety. Both of their safeties are actually on the injured report. So both of their safeties are playing hurt. The only good thing you could say about Carolina this year is that their defense was professional. And now they've got 5 guys of 11 starters who are either out or banged up. So that doesn't bode well.
Not great.
And then of course you don't have Justin Fields on the other side either. So I'm horrified at the 3.5, if I want to be honest. You mentioned you can get it at Sporttrade plus 104. It opened at 2 or 2.5, depending on where you were looking. Closing at 3.5, it looks like. If you're interested, FanDuel has it at -3 at -120. I just can't get there. I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything on the main lines. I think I might have I just hammered a positive EV play on the under, but it's not something that like I'm putting my own name out there. If I had to give a prediction, I would take the Bears. I mean, at least like a Tyson Bajent is terrible, and my phone auto corrected him to Agent, which just perfect encapsulation of just what this game is like. Tyson Agent. But at least the Bears, their defense, specifically their rush defense, has sneakily been pretty good over the past month. I think I was listening to like something for fantasy. Nobody cares about fantasy, but that they're like the number 1 defense schedule adjusted against the run over the past month. The way you beat the Bears is through the air, but unfortunately Bryce Young and he looks terrible. The offensive infrastructure looks terrible. Everything looks bad. It's hard to parse it from the quarterback versus the roster versus the scheme. I'll give you credit. You in one of our preseason shows, you were on the Panthers being one of the worst teams in the NFL. I was not there, so that's an L for me. It looks like a genius take from you. So I just think the Bears, at least, like, I don't know, like DJ Moore's got some talent. Cole Kmet's got some talent. They're at least, like you said, even more trying to win with the trade for Montez Sweat. So, I mean, not that he's that great. And it was a dumb trade. Don't get me wrong. It was a dumb trade.
Yeah, and his sack numbers are super juiced today. We can talk about that. But to your point, DJ Chark out, Laviska Shenault out. So you're looking at Adam Thielen,
90-year-old Adam Thielen,
Chuba Hubbard, right? It's just there's such a talent discrepancy between Carolina and the rest of the league. Offensively.
And they gave all the money to Miles Sanders, and he's not even playing. I don't know if it's injury related.
One of the worst contracts in recent memory. I mean,
it's terrible.
If we get proven every year, you don't pay running backs. You just don't pay them. And they gave him $25 million, which I think 14 of which was guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's bad team building. The bad teams stay bad. I feel like we text about this all the time. The bad teams, they stay bad. The Bears trading for Montez Sweat is a bad team move. Now, they're both bad, but the Bears at least have more talent than Carolina. And that's the only thing I think is going to carry them tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. So I don't know if you have anything on the over under. It's at 38 in most places.
Yeah.
If you want to pay for some juice, you can get 38.5 at -115 at Sporttrade.
Yeah.
It's such a low total. And I don't know, maybe I guess it's actually -111 now. So it moved in a little bit in favor if you are on the under.
Okay. I had 38.5 here last check, over +104. Under, you said -111.
Yeah, I literally just refreshed the odds page.
Yeah. I actually kind of like an alt under here, 36.5 at +113. For all the things I've mentioned, I think Carolina is just terrible. And 36.5 is a game that's like, is 2017 possible? Maybe.
I don't think broken plays, defensive scores, the only turnovers is really the only way.
Look, last week we got screwed. We had 42.5.
That was
we
BS.
Took the over, and it ended at 42. So
it's freaking George Pickens.
Lady Luck is turning her golden locks our way. She's batting her eyelashes.
That's true. Everyone says when you're betting when you're due is something that you should do. I couldn't, the phrasing of that, I kind of butchered, but you know what I mean? When you're due.
When you identify a due-ness, you identify the due-ness, and that's when you strike. Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. All right. We can move on. Under Bears. Really, well, I would say watch The Bachelor tonight. If you're going to watch anything, it's going to be more exciting than this.
Hey, the season finale of Loki is out tonight. So why don't you?
I have not watched Loki yet. I do like it, but I have not. Or I like the first season.
Yeah, this is an aside. Have you seen Tom Hiddleston in anything else?
I have not.
No, I went through his entire IMDb the other day, and I was like, I literally have never seen him do anything other than this role.
Yeah, I think he plays it really well. I can't really say he's a great actor because maybe he just plays Loki really well. Yeah, but yeah, that's actually a fair point. I never thought of that because he's just been
he's just playing the same character for 12, 13 years.
Yeah, it's good for him.
I do have a couple props, however, I'd like to go over with you. And some of them are off the beaten path a little bit for me, if you've watched the show. So, of course, Sackmaster checking in.
Yeah, there he is.
We're here. Yannick Ngakoue, half a sack, +134. Now, he's having a bad year. All the metrics you care about are way down. Pressures, hurries, etc. But he's playing about 82% of the snaps. And I anticipate, given what you said earlier about the last several weeks of sample size we have, that the Bears' rush defense has been really good, that we're going to see a lot of passing downs here for Carolina. One of the things they don't do well at all is protect their 5'5", 140-pound quarterback.
I mean, why would you want to?
So I think Ngakoue gets home. I think Montez Sweat, like the betting numbers here for Montez Sweat are super juiced. They're ridiculous. The guy's been there for like a week. I don't think he's going to get the same amount of reps as people think he's going to get. So I like Yannick Ngakoue here. I think he's going to get home. He has 2.5 sacks on the season. Again, the pressures are down. It's not a great play. It's not a huge play, but it is +134, and he only has to get home with somebody else, half a sack. So I like that one.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. When you said Yannick Ngakoue, I wasn't 100% confident which team he played for because he's been
had to look it up. Had to look it up. Part of my research for the show today was, he's not on the Jaguars. He's not on the Colts. He's not on the Raiders. I was like, what team is he on now? So,
yeah. He was on it was 5 teams in 5 years. It was something crazy.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah. So my player props, One I tweeted out I really like is Bryce Young over 32.5 passing attempts. You basically said it. I don't expect them to have a ton of success running the ball. I don't expect them to have any success running the ball. I also expect them to be losing, not necessarily getting blown out, but certainly not playing with the lead. So I think they're going to need to pass it a ton. Bryce Young, 32.5, he's cleared in 5 of 7 games. The 2 that he missed, he had 32 and 31. So he's right around that number. So in this matchup, I'm not saying they're going to have success doing so, but I do think they're going to be throwing it a lot. In terms of pumped up props, this was one where I kind of just had to gut through it. I settled on DJ Moore, 60 plus receiving yards. I think if I could redo it, I would have actually gone with pumping up Deonta Foreman. Problem was, and nobody cares about this, but I wanted to get the video out yesterday. They didn't announce whether Khalil Herbert was playing or not, so I didn't want to touch the Bears backfield. They didn't even have odds out. Regardless,
he's out.
DJ Moore, revenge game. He's like hovering 50 yards basically every game that Tyson Bagent has played.
Yeah,
he hasn't gone over 50, I think, since he had that blow up game, I think like a month ago. Somehow the Bears have 2 Thursday night football games, which I didn't even realize teams could play 2 Thursday night football games. And why'd they give it to the Bears?
Yeah, we do a show with Drew Dinsick, the whale capper, and our last show, or 2 shows ago, was in fact that terrible Washington Bears game.
Yeah, when he had like 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. So
yeah, see, I actually like, you know what, like the revenge game is a narrative based bet. But at the same time, some of that stuff can be real.
It can be. It
in a season where like guys need something to get up for. Like they're not the Eagles, right? Like they're not throwing the ball to somebody to get them an award because it feels good. Like they have Super Bowl on their mind. The Bears aren't doing anything this year. So to me, considering the draft capital spent in order to get him in house, considering the talent level that he has, I actually think this is not a bad bet. And I actually have DJ Moore first touchdown at plus 800.
That's pretty good.
Well, I had that
plus
down.
800. It's pretty good.
I had that down. Yeah. Jeff, to answer your question here about Adam Thielen, who else is going to get the ball? Like I haven't seen his numbers. I haven't seen his numbers. I imagine they're probably in the high 60s, maybe low 70s.
So,
but I don't know who else is getting the football.
He had been like sneakily like on fire the past couple weeks. He slowed down a little bit. So mostly in the I mean, I don't know. Look at he's played 7 games this year, 8 games. First 2 weeks were rough. Then he had 145, 76, 107, 115, 72 yards. And then last week he went back down to 29. His over-under is 70.5. His reception over-under is 6.5. I actually like the receptions more than the yards. He's just a check down Charlie to Bryce Young because he's just in the right place at the right time. The yards thing scares me. Like he probably will get to 70. I have more confidence in the receptions, like 6.5. He's cleared 6 straight weeks and then missed it last week. To me, buy the dip. I don't know what the odds are on that. I was just looking it up on props.cash. I don't have anything on that myself. The only player props that I have are the Bryce Young and the DJ Moore one. So it looks like it's best offered on Caesars at -106. Mm-hmm. I might lock that in. I don't hate that. This can't be a right stat. Roche. Oh no, sorry. I read that as Deonta Foreman. I was like, I don't know. He's not playing a ton. Roschon Johnson.
Yeah, he's got. I got him up here. 2 carries, 6 carries, 3 carries, 5 carries, 8 carries, 4 carries, 5 carries, and that's it on the season, averaging 4.5 yards per carry. I mean, the only thing I think 68.5 is kind of where I thought, Jeff, on the Thielen line. Under 23 yards. I mean, he's going to have to get volume relative to his work in order to get there. But Brian Burns is out. I don't know. They got another linebacker hurt. My thought is probably he doesn't get there.
I mean, so the Panthers have. I'm looking at DVOA. Where are they? The literally worst rushing defense in the NFL. They allow the 5th most yards and the most rushing touchdowns, 1.75 per game. And they're 24th in terms of rushing yards per attempt. So unless they feed Deonta Foreman and Roschon Johnson just doesn't get the carries.
Which they may. I mean,
which they might. They very well might.
Foreman had 20 carries last week. And I think the week prior, he scored 3 touchdowns. He had 25 24 or 25.
Yeah, he's getting a ton of work.
There's not a lot of work for Johnson.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
And then for what it's worth,
yeah.
So
shout out to Unabated. We'll give them a little love here. They have a great prop simulator. So simulator showing Thielen under 6.5 receptions. So if he's at 68.5, you're looking at like 11 and change yards per catch, which seems to be, I don't know what his A dot is, but that seems to be pretty accurate.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's pretty low, but I don't have the information either. Yeah, if you want to trust the Unabated simulator, it's plus 100 odds at BetMGM towards the under, which I certainly don't hate. So yeah, anything else you have for this game, or are you ready to move on?
I do actually. So I'm unveiling a new sort of bet tonight, and that's in the kicking game.
The kicking game, I love it.
I have Eddie Pinheiro over 5.5 points tonight. Carolina attempting 2 field goals per game this season. He's gone over this number in 6 games. Nobody cares about trends, but in games where Carolina isn't getting absolutely their asses beat, and I'm pointing to Miami and Detroit losses specifically, he's attempted 3 field goals, 2, 3, and 2 field goals. So presumably he has to hit 2 field goals, or if you think Carolina is going to score 2 touchdowns, that's a possibility too. Yeah. I like this one. It is a little on the juicier side. It's like minus 130. But I think Carolina is the perfect offense to get to the 35-yard line and do nothing. So with that in mind, that's where I'm leaning.
I like it. I haven't done this in a while. I got a group of friends that love the over 3.5 field goals for primetime games. That's like a PFT from Pardon My Take type of wager. So if you're in on that, you could do the 4.5 field goals. It's normally plus or over 3.5, which is normally plus money, which I find crazy, especially for a game like this. I can look it up real quick and just see if they still have it.
Sure. Yeah, Jeff's asking about he can see Cole Kmet scoring a touchdown. He had 2 last week. I agree. Or it feels like we're finally seeing Kmet do something. Now, I don't know if that's Bagent related. I don't know if that's just he's sort of seen the light, but his targets have gone up considerably in the last several weeks. So definitely within a realm of possibility.
Yeah, he's been good. And
again, both Carolina safeties are hurt. So
yeah,
that's a plus matchup.
So it looks like over 3.5 is minus 115. So it's not plus money this time. So I'm sitting that one out. But yeah, I agree with you what you said about Cole Kmet. It is it's a classic young quarterback targeting the tight end because it just kind of feels like a safety valve. Betting on a Bears passing threat is always scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he did score 2 last week and against a significantly better defense than the Saints. Bless you.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the odds are pretty juicy on that one as well. I can look that up. Just to see Cole Kmet plus 250 at Caesars. Like that's pretty good for an anytime touchdown. Really, for something like this, you're just trying to get above plus 200.
Yeah. No, agreed.
Yeah, cool. All right. So now you got the Eddie Pinheiro prop out of the way.
Yeah.
Anything left for this game?
For this game, no. I'm ready to zoom out if you're ready.
Yeah, let's zoom on out. So do you want to do week, or I guess we're in week 10 now? Week 10 Sunday lines that you like?
Yeah, 14 games, 6 totals are in the 30s.
Disgusting.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I was looking at Jets and Raiders. I tried to get myself there on the over 36.5 and just couldn't do it. I mean, it feels like a last stand for the Jets coaching staff and the front office and obviously Zach Wilson. But I just can't do it. I mean, the Robert Saleh face has become a Sunday staple. Just like a blank stare out into nothingness as he updates his resume. And it's not even his fault, which is a shame. So I couldn't get there, but there is a game I do like. That's Bengals Titans. So this is actually one of the.
You mean
Bengals Titans? Sorry, Texans. Yes, Texans.
Yeah, all good.
Bengals Texans. One of the higher totals for the week, 46.5 at Sporttrade at minus 102. That's towards the under. Now I say this because I really start to think that the Bengals are they have a great defensive coordinator, as we've covered. Against rookie quarterbacks, they have really dominated, and Stroud has struggled against good defensive coordinators. I'm looking at the Ravens, the Jags, the Saints. In those 3 games, now he doesn't turn the ball over, but he's thrown 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's averaging 240 yards tossing per game. great numbers for a rookie, but that escalates so much higher when he's playing some of these worse defenses and worse coaching staffs. Most of these skill position guys are young, right? Rookies are going to be seeing this sort of defensive structure for the first time. Bengals 6.5-point favorites, so the market also thinks this game's probably not going to be all that close. So I like the Texans, but I think the Bengals are cresting, and -6.5 at -111 is what you can get at Sporttrade. So if you want to get that under a key number of 7, that's available. But I do like the under 46.5 at -102 there.
Yeah, I like the under more than I like the Bengals as well. It just came out today that both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins aren't practicing. I think.
Yeah, I get it. I've seen it.
Yeah,
Higgins is going to play.
well,
He'll play, and Chase may be a game time decision, and that's fine. But I like what I've seen out of the tight end group the last couple of weeks for the Bengals. Joe Mixon coming out of the bye looks awesome, much better than he did previously.
Yeah,
and you still have Higgins, you still have Boyd, and you've got Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean they won last year without Chase, but I think I saw maybe it changed that it's more likely that Chase plays than it. Yeah, I think Higgins. I saw that he's likely to miss because he's with the hammy.
Well, even better.
Yeah, so even better. Yeah, certainly for the under. Yeah, I don't know the week the Eagles have a bye.
I have to see. I have to see if I bet this already. I'm pretty sure I did.
I admittedly do not have a ton on any of the Sunday games. The Eagles have a bye. I'm giving myself a bye as well. One game that I did want to target. Let me go through. Give me 1 second. I got to look at what I had. My notes are all out of whack.
I see that. Okay. I did bet this earlier. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Good. No, go ahead. I have one more, but good.
Tennessee money line against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh boy.
What do we think about that?
I think you love Will Levis. I think you're attracted to Mayo. I think you're attracted to the banana eating. Now, I think he's got balls, man. I think he's going to be a good player. I love watching him throw the rock. I think he's got a howitzer for an arm. Other than that, I'm not really sure yet. That's something I would stay away from. Just not enough on Will Levis, in my opinion, yet to fully understand what goes on there. I mean, he looked amazing in the first half was it last Thursday? Or was it?
Yeah, it was Thursday.
Thursday. In the second half, they came out and did nothing.
They stopped letting him. They didn't let him throw. It's like everything's 2-run plays and then a screen pass. It's like they don't trust him. I don't necessarily blame them. But hey, I mean, this Bucs defense just got annihilated. I'm not saying that Will Levis is CJ Stroud, but I do think that it's a breath of fresh air when you have Will Levis throwing to you, not the corpse of Ryan Tannehill.
That's true.
So, and this is just when Mike Vrabel teams. I know they didn't do it last year, but I don't know. I don't think I have anything on that yet, but that's something that I was eyeing was the Titans Bucs. Specifically.
I don't hate it. I mean, the Bucs have lost 4 straight. They've lost 5 of 6. They started 3-1.
Yeah.
Now they're 3-5. I mean, they're
3-1. Crazy.
Schedule's been kind of tough though. They lost to the Lions, the Bills. I mean, if you consider the Texans tough, and the Eagles within that stretch.
Yeah.
So I think they're like a decent bad team.
Yeah, but some of those games weren't even competitive. Like the Eagles game wasn't competitive. The Bills game shouldn't have been competitive, but the Bills just refused to. They just kept punting it on 4th down, like 4th and 1. And then the Texans. I mean, that game was nutty, on both sides.
Yeah.
All right. What else do you got?
I like the Jaguars. I love the Jaguars this week. Love the Jaguars.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Plus 3.5 against San Francisco. I think this is a team that's reeling. They're injured. Now they just had their bye, so we'll see what happens. But I think the Jags are for real, man. You've seen it. I've seen it. Doug Peterson effect. They've got a good defense. People probably didn't think that defense was going to be real good this year. They're playing well. The offense is coming around. They got weapons out the ass in that wide receiver room. Even though tight end Evan Ingram's a good player. I mean, if you've seen Travis Etienne play this year, he might be the best running back.
He's awesome.
Other than Christian McCaffrey. And they got their tackles back. And that was a big thing. They struggled early in the season. Cam Robinson missed the first 4 games of the year. Ever since he's been back, offense has been so much better.
Yeah.
And you're getting 3.5.
The half point.
So I love that.
Sorry, I got distracted and was laughing because in the background, my dog is napping and her tail is wagging in her sleep.
I couldn't tell. I wasn't sure if you had acquired a cat or not.
Yeah, some people do are like, "Oh, your cat's cute in the background." I'm like, "No, it's a sleeping puppy."
And one last point about Jacksonville: they're at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like them plus 3.5.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have anything on it. I was eyeing the Jags as well. I just worry that are we too down on the 49ers after losing 3 straight when they were missing Deebo Samuel and they were missing Trent Williams and Brock Purdy was concussed?
It's possible.
Because I mean, they were a wagon the first 5 games. Looked like I mean, and that was always gonna come down. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. The 3.5, that half point is huge. What's that on Sporttrade at minus 125 for that extra half point, which is some juice, but you're paying. But I mean, that extra half point, as we talked about, is massive. Yeah, that was the last game that I wanted to talk about. Chargers Lions. I mean, give me the Lions. I mean, come on, it's the Chargers. They've covered the spread in 2 straight games. I know enough about the Chargers to know that that's certainly not going to keep up. So Lions -3.
Chargers and Vikings, 2 teams I don't bet on.
Just one way or another.
Just not doing it. I refuse to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I actually kind of like the Vikings, against the Saints. I kind of like everybody loves them and Josh Dobbs. I don't know. Kind of feels like a fate of the Vikings, but I'm with you. They're kind of on fire. The Vikings.
Yeah, they're what, 1-4 now. They're 5-4.
Yeah, they won 4 straight, and they're in the playoffs.
Up and Justin Jefferson might come back. So who knows? No one cares. Just traded for him last night. So we'll see.
Ooh, nobody risky business.
Well, it was actually more of a play for next season than it was for this season.
Keeper league. Got it.
Yeah, big time dynasty guy here. Yeah,
makes sense. Oh, it's a dynasty league. I like it. I want to be in one. I'm not in the dynasty league. I would like that.
It's good time. It's a good time.
Cool. All right. Anything else that you have for any of these games? Are you ready to talk a little bit strategy?
No, let's talk strategy. This was something that came up because in our positions, right? Like we talked to a lot of people in the sports betting space, and I'm always interested in getting people's opinions on when is the right time to bet, right? Like I feel like a lot of the content that's out there says, well, you should bet early in the week, as early as possible. And there's some that says, well, maybe you should wait towards like the middle of the week. And then, the public generally will bet on like a Friday or a Saturday and then rush in Sunday morning when the line is it's already most efficient.
Yeah.
You've already missed your opportunity. So I'm curious for your opinion on this. When do you feel like is the best time to bet?
Yeah, well, so I have a cop-out answer, which is whenever you're watching this, that is the best time to bet. Because you can make predictions on line movement. You can say like, oh, I think it's going to move in favor of this team or whatever. But the reality is you don't actually know that. It's a prediction. So the only thing that you can really do is just act on the information that you have at hand. Now, injury news, just general line movement. There are situations, whatever, out of your control that can shift the line, not including just getting steamed by the public. But that's always kind of my thought is like, when I was working at iShame, I'll get that question all the time. When should I bet? Should I do it in the morning? Should I do it right before the game start? And I'm just like, whenever you have time, just is when you should bet. But in terms of to not just give a cop-out answer, I would say early rather than late, because generally, especially for football, like if you're betting consistently on Sunday morning, that's just asking. If you're betting main lines, player props and alts can be a little bit different because the market isn't as efficient there as it is on main lines. But if you're betting Sunday morning and that's the only time you're betting for football main lines, like that is a losing proposition.
Yeah, you've missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for football, I actually really like Sunday before Sunday Night Football betting on the following week's games because you can get some really good prices. Granted, it can move both ways. It can move aggressively in favor and out of favor, but I am always of the early rather than the late. Like I try to limit as much as I do over the weekend.
So I think that's what I'm learning and evolving in my thought process about all of this is, if you're betting early lines when they come out Sunday, you're betting without any market information. You're betting purely on your opinion. And like you said, that could be incredibly right, or that could be incredibly wrong. And as the week progresses, if practice reports come out, injuries flare up, you start to accumulate more information, right? So in a typical NFL week, Tuesday is the player's day off. Wednesday is an install padded practice. Thursday is a padded practice. Friday is a walkthrough.
Yeah.
So I feel like I am evolving to getting my bets down Wednesday night when the market has had a chance to react to news to syndicates, to sharps. So am I giving back a little bit of that value? Yes, I am. But I'm not a sharp, right? Like I pay attention as much as I can. I work for a sports betting company, but I'm in no way a sharp better. But being an informed better, I think makes you sharper than most other folks, right? So I think I'm trying to find that middle ground to say,
Sure.
okay, I've seen where the line is. I've seen where it's going. I don't necessarily know if it's going to end in a particular spot or not. But I am, in my opinion, increasing my likelihood of getting a bet that's going in the right direction without losing my ass on one side potentially, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the only thing that I would push back on is when I'm betting on Sundays, it's not like I'm comparing sportsbook lines to sharp sports books. Like I'm seeing what like the Pinnacles and the Circa Vegas is
Sure,
and
that's a good
the
point.
bookmaker. So like I don't want to. I'm not like I have learned to not bet on based on what I think anymore, especially for football, because football's wild and crazy stuff happens. So like if I'm betting on Sunday, I'm mostly just line hunting. I'm going through literally the main lines of every single game and just picking off where is someone mispriced. And you can find the biggest differences earlier in the week before sportsbooks have times to adjust.
Yeah,
I'm curious
that's a great point.
if Tom is still here on the unabated, I'm curious what he thinks. If he wants to chime in on the chat, if he's still watching or if he left us, because it's like I know it's a big Captain Jack thing to not even bother on Sunday mornings. Like if you're betting Sunday mornings, and I think that's kind of, we're both in agreement there.
Yeah.
You've lost your price if you're betting in the morning.
Agreed. No, totally agree there.
Yeah. If anybody else in the chat, not to just,
but that, what you're saying speaks to, the ethos of both those companies, OddsJam and Unabated, which is always find the best price, right?
Yeah.
EV bets, find the best price. Doesn't matter what happens in the long run, depending on your time horizon. You will eventually come out profitable. So that makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only situation where I'll bet day of is player props, because I do think that player prop betting is so specific to news and information more so than anything. It's not 100%. Like you can also miss a price, obviously, if you bet on Sunday versus, let's say, Friday. But a lot of times for football, player props aren't released until Thursday or Friday. So you don't even have the option of betting early if you want to. So I generally try to figure out, like, find out as much information as I can. Or if earlier in the week, if I have like, oh, this player's missing or whatever, this is too low, I'll do that a little bit early in the week. But player props, more often than not, I wait till the day of.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, and chimed in on the chat. CLV isn't as important in props. That's also true. Props are a little bit wonky. I always unit size down when I'm betting props. All right. Well, if anybody else has any thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat. Now we can move on to our final segment. I didn't even write it down. What are we doing? Trying our best. I was thinking getting better. Trying our best.
Trying our best.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. We're trying our best. So
that's all we're doing.
If anybody has any non-sports betting specific, any trying our best life advice for two washed up 30-year-olds, 31 and 34, I believe, right?
You're correct.
34-year-olds.
But not washed up in my prime.
Yeah, Dan is very against the language of being washed up. As a meathead himself, you have to believe that you're only ever striving for getting better.
You're only ever as good as your last lift, but you're not defined by your last lift. Put it that way.
Who you lift, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a Jalen Hurts quote who's like, who you are some of the time is who you are all the time. It's like what you lift some of the time.
Gave up on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Do you think he just has
in Jalen Hurts press conferences?
Yeah, I love Jalen Hurts. He's very boring to just like, I don't watch his press conferences.
It's practiced. It's a practiced boredom.
Yeah, for sure. He's not super entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what dating advice for Tom?
Shit, I don't have any. Are you kidding me? This guy lives like he's Joe Pesci in Goodfellas. I have no idea what to tell this guy at all. I mean, not only does he look like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, he lives the same life, hopefully with a different ending. But that's basically what happens. I mean, I might as well start calling him Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, it is a little perfect. Yeah, I think I could not be less equipped to give someone.
Can I ask you a question? And I'm just, there's no judgment here or anything. How many women have you dated? Like how many girlfriends have you had?
Serious?
Serious
3.
Okay. All right.
including one in high school / freshman year of college. I don't know if you really consider that serious. If not,
I mean, how long did you date?
like a year.
I probably would not.
Then two. Then it's two.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Yeah.
But I was gonna say dating advice not only for someone in their 20s, but someone living in Las Vegas. Like my single life could not have been more different than someone living in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't live in Las Vegas in my 20s. I lived in Nebraska, Green Bay, Wisconsin, Louisville, Kentucky, and Rye, New York. So, and Philly. So,
yeah,
can't say I can particularly relate. Drink a lot of water. Say that.
That's just good advice.
A
just
lot of water. Yeah,
for life.
As you age, you need to drink more water. That's
you also as you age, you need to electrolytes are very important. As I've learned, I've been good at drinking a lot of water. I haven't always been good about electrolytes, and I've noticed I'll get some like foot cramps and stuff. Like after some cardio days, got to get those electrolytes up.
How far are you running? How many miles are you? How much time onto the feet are you doing?
I try to minimum 3. I try to do one long one a week. So if I'm just trying to do a quick run, I'll do 3. If I have more time, I'll do 4. And then I try to do one long run for like 5 miles, which takes me less than an hour.
That sounds horrible. Oh my God.
Yeah. I hated running like when I was playing sports in high school, but now I really enjoy it. I pop in a podcast and
that's great.
And it's just the stress release.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes I take the dogs with me.
Sure. Are they good on the leash while they run?
They're polar opposites. One of them is super excited and wants to run faster. The other one hates his life and wants to run slower. So we have a dual leash and they kind of just balance each other out.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah. No, it's quite fun. Yeah, I forget where we were going, but
no, I don't think we don't have any comments. So I think that's probably it.
Yeah, I'd see I do a mile and a half every morning. You want a big booty mixing go.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I squat, actually, pursuant to the mix. I put on a big booty mix and I make sure I do my own depth check. It's very important to check your depth.
And dumb question, look how low you go when you're squatting.
Below parallel.
Okay, so that's what you're when you mean by direct depth, you mean how low you get. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, never been a big squatter. Not for me.
I can tell.
You can tell just based on the upper half that I see.
You're 6'8" for Christ's sake. Like I don't know what you can't squat. You're too tall. You're like a lever. It's too much height on you.
Too much height. If you were Doug Peterson, height.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
All right. We have a football question. Mingo over 33.5 receiving yards. I can look into that real quick.
I don't know. Justin, why don't you? Oh, Justin's back from last week. Justin, do you have any other questions for us? I think Justin was.
He was
22-year-old chap living in parts unknown, asking us questions last week. It was a fun time for all, a gay old time, and I'm just hoping to see if you have any more questions.
Yeah, did we answer them all last week? Our viewership has gone up since we started the segment, so it'd be nice to get some questions in here.
Yeah, ask away. All kinds of experiences. He says, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Well, I'm glad it left such an impression on you.
Jonathan Mingo. Oh, I'm on the wrong game. The only analysis I have on Mingo is that I wish he was better because I drafted him in my league that nobody cares about, and my name was Mingo Ate My Baby, and that would have been very good if I could have kept that. If I could have kept that all year.
That hurts. As someone who is currently ripping through Seinfeld again, that really hurts.
Yeah.
I love that.
Let's see. What is he at? Looks like FanDuel has him at 31. 33.5 is that's an under. Every other book has him at 32 or 31. So if you can just from line shopping alone.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, it feels like we're out of steam here.
Yeah, cool. Well, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate the comments, even though we didn't get a ton about our new segment. Maybe we'll have to market that a little bit more next time. Fine. As my dog Stretch moans in the background, I think it's time for me to finish. Dan, appreciate you for tuning in or for joining me. Appreciate everybody.
I tuned in, I watched, and I participated.
Here we go. Kenneth, how tall are you, man? I'm actually 6 feet tall.
Kenneth, No, he's not. He's full of shit. I met Matt at game 1 of the NLCS in Philly this year. And I mean, I felt like I was looking up an oak tree, a skinny oak tree, like a skinnier oak tree. But like, I like literally like my neck just kept doing this.
This is my my favorite bit is that I get taller and taller.
Just kept going. I mean, I hugged him, but I basically was like at crotch level when I hugged.
I almost broke in half getting hugged by a meathead.
That doesn't surprise me. But I mean, the length on this guy is unbelievable. I mean, like you've seen Victor Wembanyama. I mean, it's more or less the same thing.
The real answer is I am 6 feet. I am happily, proudly 6 feet tall, not an inch taller, not an inch shorter.
Ken, he's lying.
No.
So now unabated here in the chat saying you should be playing center for the Sixers. You're like Manute Bol. You just don't have enough girth to you.
Well,
like, can you imagine Julius Randle sticking his ass into you? You can't do it.
Our Modar men are known for their girth, so I would appreciate. I would not want to.
I don't know what happened to you because.
All right. How much more muscle pains do you get in your 30s versus 20s?
That depends on what you're doing. What are you doing? I don't know. Are you stretching? Are you drinking water? Are you foam rolling? Are you being responsible? I mean, you just can't go 1 rep max every day in your 30s, and you shouldn't do it anyway. But it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, I would say.
I would say I get less muscle pains now after a workout because I'm smarter. Like when you're 20, in your 20s, you want to train at 95% every day, and you're waking up and you're like, oh my God, I'm so beat up. I got to go do it again. When you get older, you realize you actually log a lot more hours training if you trained at 75% every day. So yeah, you're not pushing yourself to your max, but that's also ridiculous. And people who tell you that on Instagram are stupid and they don't actually train people.
Yeah.
So that's what you should be doing is you should be focusing between 75 and 80%. You'll actually train a lot more, become much more efficient.
Yeah. It's also kind of an interesting perspective because you're a lifting meathead. I'm more of like a cardio guy. I never had to stretch before playing sports when I was in my 20s. Now I get to soccer like a half hour early and I aggressively stretch. 2 muscle pulls. 1 bad muscle pull of your calf will do that to you. So I do a lot more maintenance than I used to do ever. And much more good about hydrating and all that stuff. But before, like I never stretched. I never really cared a ton about drinking enough water. I was somewhat of what you'd call an athletic freak back in my prime. Now I pull every muscle if I don't stretch enough. So
I get injuries from stupid stuff, like picking up my kid without bracing my core. Like if I've slept for more than 7 hours, my back will just start to hurt. Nonsense like that.
You definitely get more random pain. But if you do the preventative stuff and you're actually exercising,
if I sit like I've been sitting down for the show for 48 minutes and 32 seconds now. When I stand up from doing this, my left foot is going to hurt. I don't know why. But it's going to hurt. It just hurts. And I note, hey, that hurts. And I walk to my car and I'll drive home and I'll be totally fine. But it just hurts. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I would say drink water, stretch, all that stuff is going to be very helpful when you're older. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, Dan's got to go beat the traffic, got to go get home to his daughter as a girl dad. I probably just going to go sit on the couch. Very important stuff for me as well. There you go. All right. Again, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Dan, thanks for joining me. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.